Hello and welcome back to our latest episode in our filming location series. Today we are covering the 16th episode of Knight Rider, a nice, indecent little town. There are tons of interesting locations in this episode, and there's a couple that we've yet to find, so we're hoping that you guys can help us. Alright, so with that said, let's go ahead and dig in. So we're going to start here with this establishing shot that we see. This is supposed to be the establishing shot of the town of Alpine Crest. In reality, this is stock footage, and this is not Alpine Crest. This is actually Atlanta, Georgia. And if you look over here to the right, you can see the state capitol right here. And notice this building right here, this kind of U-shaped building. Well, if we look at it today, there's the state capitol, and that building is still there. This is looking at it from the opposite side. So, Atlanta, Georgia, stock footage. All right, so then we come down here to street level and we see the Metro Hotel. So everything you're going to see in this next sequence, this is all Universal Studios backlot. Incidentally, I'd be curious, this like Steinhausen restaurant, was this used in any other Universal Studios production from like 1982, around 1982? I'm wondering if this is leftover set dressing from a previous production. Anyways, Metro Hotel, and you can see it here, it's kind of a corner building. So if we look at an overview of Universal, I'm wondering if it's, again, it's changed so much, and I know there were some fires around here, so might be in this area right here, New York Street, Park Avenue. I'm not totally sure. Maybe this right here. Actually, this looks like that could have been the Metro right there, and KITT would have been parked right over here, but not 100% sure. Maybe you Universal Studios historians will know a little bit better. But yeah, this whole sequence with Austin running past the windows. Incidentally, you can see some of the camera crew here as he's running past, and he goes through these archways. This is all the backlot of the studio, all the way through, I believe, right here whenever they're picking up the money. This definitely looks like a movie set. Alright, so the majority of this episode is filmed in Covina, California, but this scene, this first scene we see with the semi, this is stock footage from a previous episode. So I don't know where this S-bend is. It looks like an S-bend, and then obviously because of the sign there's a road, you can see it going up this way, but any of you guys out there have any idea where this was filmed? Chances are this was filmed around the same locations as where they filmed the semi scenes for Hearts of Stone. If I were to guess, this was probably filmed, this was second unit filming just to get some stock footage of the semi, and they probably did this at the same time, right after the semi was painted, and they were, trying to gather some footage of the semi in its new configuration. So it's probably in that general location, but see if you guys can find this S-bend anywhere. Alright, and now we get to the main filming location for this episode, Covina, California. This is on North Citrus Avenue, and this cross street right here is Italia Street, or Italia Avenue. So, right here, this building right here is the Alpine Crest Hotel. This building is now gone, unfortunately, as you can see. Whoops, right here. So the Alpine Crest Hotel was right here, and you can tell when you look at this, these are much more modern buildings on this block. Couple of interesting things. First of all, if we go over here, see this Taco Bell off to the right? Taco Bell still occupies that corner right here. Obviously, much more modern Taco Bell. All right, so next up, Michael continues driving, and he's turning, he's still on Citrus Avenue, and he's turning right. This is the Alpine Crest Tribune where Jobina Bruce works, this building right here. So Kit turns right onto School Street. But what's interesting is if we look at this today, this whole area has changed. Now, I think, boy, it's hard to tell. This building might be all new too. Yeah, I'm going to say that the Tribune, this whole block from the Alpine Crest all the way down to the Tribune here has all been torn down and rebuilt. But the road Kit did turn down was right here. Now, as you can see, that road is no longer there. So if we go out here, you can get a better view here. So looking back here, you see how there's this park here. There's a park here, but then the road is here. So sometime in the intervening years, they removed that road, which was right in here, and extended that park. And in fact, there's the rest of School Street over here. School Street is now a dead end. But that's where Jobina's, where the Tribune was. All right, and next up, we're at a location that many of you are familiar with. This is supposed to be the town square at Alpine Crest. In reality, this is the back lot of Universal Studios, and this is the Back to the Future courthouse. Before, it was the Back to the Future courthouse. Now, what's interesting here is as you watch this sequence, you'll see Michael here. You still see the courthouse. And then Ron Austin is made, and he's running this way. And this is still Courthouse Square. But then it turns to this scene. And this scene has Ron Austin running through this park. And there's Citrus and School Street. And you actually get a look at the other side of the street. And actually, let's take a look at that. So if we come around this way, would be these buildings. And that might be, I think that is the same building, possibly. This corner one. Anyways, so then Ron's back in Covina here. And then Michael was stopped by this policeman, and this is back at Universal Studios. And then when Michael walks away, they're actually in Covina. So there was all kinds of stuff happening with this one particular scene where they filmed in two completely different locations, not even close to each other. All right, then we see this establishing shot of the semi. Now, I think, there's a scene in, I think it's coming up in Whitebird, where we see Kit plow around a corner at super fast speed and then do a 180 and drive up in the back of the semi. And in the background, you can see a sign that says Via Verde Point. I don't know for sure, but I think this is that same location, and the semi is just, it's a different angle with the semi door up. Not 100% sure, but it's hard to tell because that entire location has been completely redeveloped. This is that intersection, which looks nothing like it did back in the 80s. So not 100% sure. Maybe you guys can shine some light on that if in fact that is the right location. All right, next we're at the Alpine Crest Police Department, and we see Kit approaching here. You can actually see some of the Universal Studios trailers back here, but he pulls up right here. It says Alpine Crest Sheriff, and if you look over here to the right, you can see the word Covina right there. We see this U-shaped brick patio. Here it is today. So Kit was parked. Let's see. Yeah, Kit parked right where this Civic is. But the rest of the building looks pretty much unchanged since then. So then we come up to all these driving scenes. I think these are stock footage, and honestly, there's not much data in the pictures, except for a couple houses here to try and figure out where these are. But I would love to know, because this stock footage has been used throughout the series. This is one of the first times, or maybe the first time, we see these different angles, but maybe you guys have better luck. So next we see Michael pulling up to the Alpine Crest Hotel. And we already told you where that was at, but something I wanted to show you, which is kind of neat. So if you look in the background, you see an income tax sign right here. It actually says lose income tax. And then this is like the Christian Science reading room building beside it. If you were to go there today, Lou is still in business. Is the number the same? 3390442. It is 3390442. How cool is that? Lou has been doing taxes in Covina for a long time. This was the Christian Reading Science Room up until just a few years ago. In fact, this is the original housing for the sign. They changed the insert, but up until a few years ago, this said Christian Reading Room on it still, because I visited Covina and it was still there. How cool is that? Lose income tax. All right, so now we've got a couple more locations we don't know. We see this establishing shot at night of some town. Honestly, there is just not enough information. There's a 76 gas station. Can't read what this sign says. And then we come to this hotel lobby. Actually, is this... At first I thought this was the Beverly Garland Hotel, but it's definitely not. But now I'm wondering if this is the same hotel from Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death, where they were staging the race. For some reason that lobby sign looks familiar. Maybe you guys can do some more. I don't think it is, though. This looks different. This is definitely a motel. You can see there's rooms up here, two-story rooms down here, rooms up here. So see if you guys can figure out what hotel this is. Yeah, and here we go. So there's Lou's income tax sign. There's the Alpine Crest Hotel. There's that Christian Science reading room, which is that same sign right there, just changed out. And look, it even still has the tile, the black and gold tile up here. Still the same from 1983. All right, enough of that. All right, so then we have this scene where Kitt's, they didn't have any success finding Ron Austin, and they're leaving Alpine Crest. And a couple interesting things to note here. If you look in the far distance, there's that Alpine Crest Hotel right there. Here's the Covina Theater, which is still there. This is the bank from Silent Night. And then you see this mortuary here. So looking at it today, it still says Custer Christensen Mortuary, just like it did back then, just a little bit different of a sign. Same building. There's the Covina Theater. Here's the bank. So Kitt was driving right down this road here. And actually, look at this florist sign, Citrus Valley Florist. And look, I think that might be the same sign. I love Covina is so neat because it has barely changed in 40 years. So then we see Kitt turns left right past the mortuary. The policeman's following him, and there's a row of palm trees. And you can see Alpine Crest, home of the Hallelujah Press sign. So let's see what that looks like now. So Kitt turned down here, and then that might be, so that Alpine Crest sign would have been like right here. Yeah, and then you get a better look. Oops, let's go back one. Yeah, so then Kitt's down this road a little bit. Turn around, like right about here is that angle, and there's that florist, which you see right here. All right, so then there's more of these driving scenes, which again, we don't really know where these are at. I don't think this is in Covina, but I could be wrong. This 180 done by Jack Gill, as you can see, is right here. He's doing that 180 right here on East Center Street. All right, and more stock footage, but this one is very special. This one we have to find. This scene, and I don't know why, it's the stupidest scene. It's so short, but Kit drives through this puddle right here. And this scene was used so many times in the series. And I don't know what it was about Kit driving through the puddle that the producers liked, but this scene was used a lot. I would love to find out where this is at. It looks like the road bends around. All you see is this building right here. There's not much context, but let's try and find this. That'd be really, really neat to find. And same with this road right here, with the pasture, the fence. This was used a whole bunch of times. The opening of Lost Night uses this as well. All right, so now we get to the alley where Michael's going to lay low. So you see the alley here, and then Michael gets out and turns left, and then this is that Alpine Crest Tribune. So this is the alleyway. Now, I don't know if I can go down this alleyway. I don't think I can. That's the alleyway. Kit parks right here. There's that yellow fire hydrant that you see right there. And then I believe you see Ron Austin drive past. Are these houses still there? Let's see. Yeah, those houses are still there. They're right here. So Ron Austin drives past this way. Michael sees them, and then they take off. All right, so now the chase begins. And they are all over the town. So right here, corner of Citrus and Badillo. And this is, again, the bank that's robbed at the beginning of Silent Night. So Kit comes through here and turns down this road. Again, there's the theater. All right, so you got that. And then you see this view from behind. So what's interesting is, so Kit, they come down this road and then they turn right and go up this road. But, so they're coming here and coming down right. But then this scene has them driving this way. So the chase goes this way, down, then it cuts, and they're down here going this way. They were never known for their consistency. All right, so then you have this, and you have the ski mode. Notice what's in the background. There's the mortuary. There's the, what were we calling the bank from Silent Night. And then the ski mode happens right there. So the ski mode is right here. Right here, this stretch of road, this is where the ski mode happened. Is that right? Let me go back. Mortuary. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Ski mode happened on this road, on Citrus Avenue, right here. Because there's the mortuary, there's the bank. So it was like right here by the theater. And then obviously this whole thing is them skiing. So what's neat is they launched the ramp right here, and Kit skied this entire block all the way down to this bank right here. And you can see the bank is this California Federal back in the day, but it's still a bank now. Now it's a city bank. Looks like it has the same corner sign too, just updated. And then I think, yeah, they kind of turn. There's the Alpine Crest Hotel. And so Kit comes down, and then they turn right here and go down this road, College Street, East College Street. And then Ron turns right here, and then Michael backs up, whoops, and follows. And if you go down here, Ron turns here, Michael backs up and follows. And if you notice, this wall with those three windows is still there and still the same. All right, and then we see this scene, point of view, and Michael's still chasing Ron. Take a look at this brick building here with the archways, the door, two windows. So that's still there today. This is that one building where you see in the background with Austin driving, that's gone. But there's the brick building. You can see the windows have been bricked up, but there's the archway right there, and the paint's been removed. But you can see evidence it used to be white. And then they turn down this way. Now this way is used to be a road. Now it's just a pedestrian path, as you can see. But if you look here, you can see the various windows and all that stuff, and they all match perfectly with what you see right here. And then, of course, we have the famous turbo boost through this intersection right here. So this ramp is actually in that same alleyway. So right here, 121 North Citrus Avenue, KITT turbo boost right here. This was the alley to alley. And this Gleisner Pharmacy building is right here. It's the same building as it was back then. And you can see the cameraman was actually inside of that, or one of these buildings. Let me see here. No, the cameraman was inside of this Keller Williams Realty building, which looks like it might have been rebuilt. And then the chase ends when Austin gets away. Michael's driving down this alley, and you can see here this is obviously a car dealership with some awesome Camaros and Firebirds, and stopped right here, right by Klippinger Chevrolet. You can see Citrus Avenue in the background. There's a Ford dealership over here. So this alleyway is down, I think I was a little too far up. It's down here, but you can see it's all changed on this side of the street. But over here, that Klippinger sign is still there today. That exact same sign, the base of it, is still there today. And that building's the same right there. So that alleyway would have been right about in here somewhere. But again, these are all new buildings. So unfortunately, that location is gone. All right, we don't know where this garage is. My guess is this is probably the Covina Police garage, maintenance garage. Could be wrong, but that would just make sense. All right, so then we come here to this building and the Hallelujah Press. This one took me a long time to find because this is not in Covina. This is actually in North Hollywood, 11024 Van Noen Street, and the building is still there today. So most of the action that you see later happens over here behind this gated area, but we'll get there shortly. All right, now we're at Martha Haberstraw's house. We see her driving here. She pulls up to this pretty blue house here with a garage in the back. Yeah, there's a better look. 6447. Now, unfortunately, for some reason, there is no street view down this way. It stops right here. Oh, wait. Never mind. It seems to be working. Unless I'm going the wrong way. I think I'm going the wrong way. Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. Never mind. Never mind. What am I doing here? 6447 Cleon Avenue. Says there's no street view. But maybe there is. So this is Hamlin Street. Alright, we're going to figure this out together. So she's driving down there. There's Hamlin Street. Pulls through. Martha, where's your house? 6447. Are we going the right way? We are not. So it's got to be this way. Oh, I see. I think it just, yeah, it does not work. Okay, never mind. So, Martha's house is actually behind this blur. I wonder if, see, I'm wondering if the house is 6447, 445. I think Martha's house was torn down. because this right here should be Martha's house. So I think it's gone, unfortunately. All right, so we're back to the Hallelujah Press, and I just wanted to show this to you. So Austin pulls up here and goes into this side door here, or breaks the glass. But you see this electrical equipment here? If you look, it's still there today. It's right there. And that door is back here somewhere, but we can't get back there. All right, I know this episode is loaded with locations. So now we have Martha, she took Kit, and the cops are chasing her. So this is the intersection of Holt Avenue and East Covina Hills Road in Covina. And if you look here, you can see that there's a road here, and then this way, you can see the arrow sign here, and notice the white fence, and there's a gate here with a crossbar and this brick house. So here is that intersection today. Let me go down. So Martha was driving down this road a little bit, just like that. And there's that intersection. There's the brick you see. You'll notice that that white fence is gone. But if we go back in time, look, there's the fence. Let's keep going back in time. See? The fence was there up until sometime between 2019 and 2021. The fence, this white fence, went away. And then the chase continues. You see the police car making a hard right, see the brick wall behind there, and then going down this road. This is East Holt Avenue and Via Verde Street right here. And there's that wall that's still there today. All right. So a lot of this action that takes place during this whole sequence, you see guy get out, Martha does a 180 here, you can see that house in the background, turn around, back down the other way. Notice this red barn right here, or red shed. Keep going, there's that red shed again with the overhang on the back, and then the turbo boost, and there's a random horse apparently, and a tennis court. So that whole thing takes place on that Via Verde Street, like 1563 Via Verde, and in fact 40 years later there's that red barn right there, looking a little worse for the wear. So this whole street, that whole action took place. All right, so then you see the scene of Michael driving right here. This is actually the Universal Studios backlot. I forget, one of our old contacts at Universal actually was the one that told us about this. And I think they said this was the transportation department was around here. This is one of the Universal Studios rigs. This was a 76 gas station they had on the back lot. So this is backlot of Universal. And then this whole scene where Martha does the 180, gets out. This was all at the Hallelujah Press on that Van Owen Street in North Hollywood. And the way I was able to find out where that location was this sign right here, this Stanton Construction. I did a lot of research, and I found where Stanton Construction was located back in the 80s. It was not easy. And once I found it, I looked at the building beside it. That was the Hallelujah Press. And that's how I put it all together. All right. So now we're at the climax of the episode. So this whole location, I have a general idea of where it's at, but I think a lot of it has changed. So you see this white fence here. You see what looks to be an entrance to something. A couple people watching there. This location right here, I was able to find this thanks to these signs right here, Liverpool and Scarborough Lane, Liverpool Court and Scarborough Lane. And chances are those other scenes I was showing you were in the same location, because actually, you see the fence here, the white fence, could be the same white fence, so it probably all happened within the same location. But this Liverpool Court and Scarborough Lane is in San Dimas. which interestingly, so you see here, the cars crash just like this. Now, when I first looked at Liverpool and Scarborough Lane, let me show it to you. This is what I saw. And I'm like, boy, that looks nothing like what you see here, right? It's all open. But it says Liverpool and Scarborough Lane. And then I noticed this. Do you see this little, I guess, retaining wall right here? 2 bricks long. Take a look at this. It is still there today. Everything else around this location has been completely developed. This remains. So when I saw that, I'm like, well. And actually, if you look here, there's one, and you can just see a second one right here. There's the second one now housing some electrical equipment right there. So if there was ever any doubt, this is the location where the police cars crashed. I'm sure none of these residents here realize that this took place right at this location. All right, so then you see Michael leaving. He's back to that same intersection of Holt Avenue and East Covina Hills Road. There's the fence, there's the arrow. And then this whole finale I was trying to find. I think this whole ending scene right here with the dead end and the car flipping, I think this was also in this area, and it might have even been like down, because again, this is all developed now. But if we look at this from above, that Liverpool court just dead ends, and there's all these houses here, or Scarborough Lane dead ends. I'm betting you that this flip took place at the end of one of those streets. Could be wrong, but that would be my guess. And interestingly, when you see that car flip in the background, you see that same fence and that same gate that we saw way back right here. So yeah, so I'm just trying to get everything. I bet you they came up Liverpool Court. I bet you that crash, the climax of Ron Austin's car flipping happened right here, right in this area. We might have to see if we can find any vintage aerial shots, satellite shots from back in the day, but that would be my guess as to where this whole thing happened. Maybe match, I don't know, some of these old trees. All right, and then finally we see the semi here, and this is another piece of stock footage on some highway. You can see some mountains in the background. You can start to see a sign that says East ST, but that's about it. So if you guys can figure where this is, more power to you, let me know. All right, that was a really long episode. A nice and decent town, you don't realize it, but there's so many locations in a nice and decent little town. So I was kind of almost dreading going through it. But next episode will be Chariot of Gold. That one's a little lighter on locations, and we know where a good majority of them are, but we are still going to need your help. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you stuck with me this whole time, over 30 minutes of a nice and decent little town filming locations. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will catch you next time.
Hello friends, it's me, Kit. When I'm not out fighting crime, I like to follow my friends at knightriderhistorians.com. Check it out.